Bradley Anderson and his 16-year-old daughter, Winter, are suing Courtney Schultz and her 17-year-old daughter, Jaden, for car damages resulting from an accident.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1134, Anderson versus Schultz.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Anderson, this is your daughter.
Yes.
And you're here as a nominal plaintiff because you are the owner of the car that was involved in an accident with the defendant's daughter.
Yes.
You were not present. You were not present at the accident. There were other passengers in the car, but you're merely here as owners of the vehicle, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with you. Tell me your first name.
Winter Anderson,
Winter, what was the date of this accident?
July 27th, 2021.
What time?
Around 6.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Who was in the car with you?
My friend Alana.
Where had you been?
We were just up by the mall shopping around Target and driving home.
And you're how old?
I'm 16.
Ever been in an accident before?
No.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2013 Chevy Cruze.
Is that the family car?
No.
Was that car purchased for her?
Yes.
When?
March of 2021,
Do you remember how much it cost?
$5,900.
Is there an outstanding loan on the car?
No loans.
Okay. Your first name is?
Jaden,
And how old are you, Jaden?
17.
And who were you in the car with on July 27th, 2021?
My boyfriend Jackson.
Is that this person?
Yep.
Anybody else in the car with you?
Nope, just us.
You were driving?
Yes,
Boyfriend in the passenger front seat?
yes.
Where were you coming from?
His hair appointment downtown.
Where had you been before that?
His house,
What time did you get to his house that day?
I was living there with him, so we had been there since the day before.
How long had you been living with him at his house?
We had been there for about a month,
Who's we?
just me and him and then his foster mom.
Who were you living with before you lived with him?
I was living with a family friend
Where did you get this car from?
from my mom.
When?
I think she had brought it to me the day before.
Day before what?
The day before the crash. We were just using it
What were you borrowing it for?
so that we could go get Jackson's hair done the next day.
Okay, prior to that, you didn't have the car.
No.
Okay, the next day, his haircut appointment was what time?
We got done at 3:30 and it took 3.5 hours, so noon.
And you were finished at 3:30?
Yes.
Where did you go from there?
I believe we went
Just
to...
a second. Just a second. Stand up. Your first name is?
Jackson.
Stand over there. After your hair appointment was over at 3:30, where did you go?
We were just in town driving around. We was about to head back to my house.
You were just driving around. Don't look at anything. Look over here. Right here.
Sorry, ma'am.
3:30. Think carefully, Jackson. You went and had your hair done
Yep.
for 3.5 hours, from 12 to 3:30. God, that's a long time. Doesn't even take me that long to get my hair done, and I'm about 5 times older than you are. So at 3:30, you left the hairdresser,
Right.
and it was you and your girlfriend.
Yep. Correct.
Not yep, that's a yes. Perfect.
Yes.
She was driving because she had borrowed the car from her mother just for the purpose of taking you to the hairdresser.
Yep. Correct.
So after the hairdresser, was your girlfriend supposed to return the car to her mother?
Yeah, we were headed that way, headed towards the camper, and then headed back out towards my house,
Headed towards,
Hermantown, where we live.
you were going to return the car to her?
Yep.
What,
Yeah.
yes, what time were you supposed to return the car to her?
Say like 5-ish
So after the hairdresser, where did you go?
to the camper.
To the camper.
Yeah,
What camper?
where her mom stays.
Her mom stays in a camper. So you went to her mother's house? Is that on the way to her mother's house? Is that where the accident happened?
Yes, ma'am.
But the accident happened at 6 o'clock, and you were finished at 3:30. Is that what the police report indicates, that the accident happened at 6 o'clock?
The police report actually says 7:50. The time on my phone said 6:17, but they could have issued it later than that. So around 6:07.
So what I want to know is, what were you doing sort of in between? You didn't go right back to the camper. You went someplace else.
We didn't have a certain location that we went to.
You were just driving around?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak to anyone else?
No, ma'am.
You didn't go to anyone else's house?
No, ma'am.
So the only people in the car, according to you, Jackson, between the time her mother dropped the car off at her house and the time of the accident, the only 2 people in the car were you and your girlfriend.
No, we was with a friend too.
Oh, now, Jackson, now you're getting to it. Now you're getting smart. Now the smart part of Jackson is hitching up, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Correct.
been here a long time. Now you had a friend in the car. When did you find this friend and where? Is not an answer. Jackson,
Picked him up,
where did you pick him up?
his house. Him and his
Just
girlfriend.
shh. At what point in the day did you pick your friend up in the car? Before or after your hairdresser's appointment?
Before.
So in the 3 hours that you were getting your hair done, your girlfriend was with your friend.
No, Your Honor.
It's going to get more complicated, Jackson. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll all come together, folks. Just hang in there. So let's go back, Jackson. Where did you get your friend from and what time?
His house, and to be honest with you, ma'am, I don't have a certain time.
Was it before or after you had your hair done?
Before.
So then if it was before you had your hair done, your friend had to be hanging around with your girlfriend for the 3.5 hours that it took to have your hair done.
Yes, we did not drop him off, though.
What do you mean you didn't drop him off?
He left. He got picked up.
He left from the hairdresser shop.
Yes, and got picked up.
Okay, now what was his name?
That I do not wish to say.
I don't give a rat's behind what you wish to say. You picked him up at his house, which means someone had to have contacted him. You had to contact him, or he had to contact you via your cell phone. So that means you have his number and he has yours, and it would be on your cell phone. From that date, in July, what was his name?
His name is...
What's his phone number? That's in your phone.
Oh, it's...
Take out your phone.
I just recently got a new phone. like,
Now it's going to all come together to everybody.
I got it.
Okie dokie. Say nothing else.
Bradley Anderson and his 16-year-old daughter, Winter, claimed Courtney Schultz and her 17-year-old daughter, Jaden, owe for car damages after Jaden ran a red light and hit Winter.
By the way, what did you think you had a warrant out for your arrest for on July?
I did
what did
not
you
have a
think?
warrant
Just a
out.
second. That's not my question. What did you think that you had an outstanding warrant for on the date of the accident?
ma'am, I did not think I had an outstanding warrant. I know I did not.
Just a second. Your last name is?
Schultz.
Miss Schultz. Do you take any psychotropic medication?
Take what?
Psychotropic medication.
No, but...
For mental illness?
No.
No. So you don't suffer from delusions?
No.
Who wrote the answer to this case and swore to the answer in this case? Who did? Did you or did your daughter?
Wrote the answer.
The answer. Well, who signed it? Let's see. Let's look at here and see who signed it. Just, who signed that?
And that was before we...
Stop! I asked you a simple
we
question.
both signed it.
Both signed it.
Yep.
You both read English, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
They went over
Judge-
it. They went over it with
I don't care whether they went over it. It's a quarter of a page. So you read it, you signed it, and you swore to it. Now, so I want to know who wrote this?
Neither.
You or your daughter? Well, somebody had to say who wasn't suffering from delusions. Oh, it was the daughter who wrote it, because it says, my mother's 2017 Nissan Rogue was destroyed. My boyfriend and witness had a potential warrant out for his arrest. Now, just a second. That's what she said. So when the person who wrote this said, my boyfriend and witness had a potential warrant out for his arrest, that's not saying he had some sort of a communicable disease. That's not saying he left his dog home or he left the light on under the chicken, whatever. I mean, I would never say that. That my boyfriend left the scene because he had a potential warrant out for his arrest.
That was misunderstood.
Just misunderstood by
Yes.
whom?
He ran because he was on probation and he was scared to get into trouble. that is why.
Just a second. I'm not finished. Okay, so now you're traveling and your car gets clipped at an intersection.
Yes.
Makes a turn, goes across to another lane, slams up against a divider, and is totaled.
Yes.
And it is your statement that you had a green light.
Yes.
Now, you're the driver of the car, and now it's going to all come together. And you say you were minorly distracted.
Yes.
Because somebody left a gun in your car. And just a second. That's what it says here. You can't make this up. You were temporarily distracted because somebody whose last name he doesn't remember, but whose address he knows, whose phone number he knows, which he can't tell me because he got a new phone.
That's not how they communicated.
That's not what you communicated.
That's not how.
Was there a gun in the car?
I said that's not how they communicated.
Just a second. Was there a gun in the car?
Yes, I said there was.
Okie dokie. And at the accident, when the cars came to a stop, Jackson took off. And you say, she was the one who ran through a red light. But you say you were minorly distracted because there was a gun in the car, that you and your boyfriend just saw that there was a gun in the car, and you were shocked. Now, where was this gun?
It was in the back seat, Jackson.
Okie dokie. Now, you're driving along. Boyfriend is in the passenger seat. You're driving. What made you look in the back seat?
I didn't. Jackson looked in the back seat to grab a sweater and
Just a
realized
second.
that it was back there.
Jackson, you looked in the back seat for a sweater.
Yep.
Yep, in July. In July.
In Minnesota,
Yes.
In
ma'am.
July.
I live in Minnesota.
In July?
Yep.
In July at 6 o'clock, you looked in the back seat for a sweater.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you
that's what I'm
find a
telling you.
Just a second. Did you find a sweater?
Yes, I did.
Good. And the gun was under the sweater.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that had to be your friend.
It was his girlfriend's gun.
Just a second. Well, the girlfriend wasn't in the car.
Yes, he
Just-
said that.
ju- The girlfriend wasn't in the car. You said nothing about the girlfriend being in the car. You said you only picked up one friend from his house. That's what you said. You got to get your story straight.
You just didn't listen. You cut
Yeah,
him off
that's right.
before he could finish.
Mr. Schultz.
I'm not happy
Mr.
about this
Schultz,
situation.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to understand something. If you continue to make excuses for her and her poor choices, this is where you're going to spend the next 20 years before a judge. Do you understand? It may be in situations like this. It may be because you're going to have to take care of children for a lot of other reasons. But if you continue to make excuses for this and believe this nonsense, then you're going to be before people like me, probably much nicer, but before people like me who are sitting here in a robe for the next 20, 25 years. Is that what you want?
Obviously, that's not what I want.
Obviously not. That's not what you want. So,
But I also know when I got the phone call right away, what was told to me, when I was told what happened.
you have to understand something. When her mouth moves, she's lying. When her mouth moves, she's lying. She took your car the day before. It's probably your only means of transportation. You lent her the car for the sole purpose of taking the boyfriend for a haircut. Is that correct?
And so she could use it for whatever they were going to do. I trusted her with my car, and I still
Well-
trust her with my car.
That's terrific.
If she was going to
Just
lie
listen.
to me,
Just
would
li-
she, why would she lie to me about there being a gun in the car? I mean, they told me this.
Why would she lie to you? Because there were witnesses that called the police. That's why she would lie to you. Can I see the police report, please?
Yes.
I'd like to see it too, please. I've not seen it.
Yeah, neither have I.
I tried to get it, and it wasn't ready. So I would like to see it myself.
What I'm telling you is, if you continue to listen to stuff that doesn't make sense, you said to me there wasn't an outstanding warrant for his arrest. Maybe it was a probation violation. Okay, probation violation. Well,
Yes.
probation violation isn't something that you're born with.
No.
You're not born with a probation violation.
born, though.
Just a second. You're not born with a probation violation. A probation violation means that you've been convicted of a crime and placed on probation as a sentence. And if you're in a car and there's a gun in the car, that's a violation of your probation in most jurisdictions.
Understood.
Do you understand?
I
So
do
you
understand.
understand that your 17-year-old daughter is with somebody who's on probation.
My boyfriend, to be exact.
Just a second. Who's on probation
Right.
for a conviction.
Correct.
And is in a car, your car,
Yes?
with a gun, brought there, he says, by a friend's girlfriend. So I want you to figure out by a friend's girlfriend. Now, I've had a lot of passengers in my car. I'm 78 years old. I've had a lot of passengers in my car. You? You? Yes. You?
Yes, ma'am.
I bet you if I ask all of us, who probably have a combined age of 200, whether they ever had a friend who left a gun in the back of their car under a sweater.
Yeah, you should know what's in your vehicle at all times, and
What I'm telling you is, if something doesn't make sense, even though you may love her, when you remember, what's his name? When you remember his last name and the name of his girlfriend, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, I don't want to see the hand. I don't want to hear you anymore. That's what happened. They know that that's what happened. You ran. There were witnesses. Now I'm reading the police report. You can sit down unless you raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, the only reason you're raising your hand is if you remember last name and his girlfriend's name.
And they actually...
May I ask you a question?
I'm reading something. Don't speak.
16-year-old Winter Anderson has accused 17-year-old Jaden Schultz of running a red light and crashing into her car.
Now, just so that you know, the police interviewed a witness because this is not per her statement, because there were witnesses to this that called the police.
Right, it was right downtown.
There were witnesses that called the police. On 727, Schultz, that would be her, was driving through the intersection at Mall and Maple Grove Road. She had a solid red light at the time she drove through the intersection, per the witness's statement. Schultz, while in the intersection, hit Anderson, who was driving. Anderson had a solid green light. No injuries were reported at the crash. Other criminal charges were found for a passenger in Schultz's car. That would be he.
Right.
And those charges were possession of a gun.
That's false.
No, the charges were a probation violation.
And they were dropped.
Yup.
Because the person who had the gun in the car
It was
Claimed
legal.
it.
claimed their gun and said that they...
Just a second. I don't know any of that. It doesn't say any of that in here. So if that's the story, I don't know any of it. All I know is he ran with the gun.
I mean, he's on
He
probation.
ran with the gun after the accident.
And that was really dumb.
Just a second. And from what I hear in both the complaint and the answer, your daughter was taken out of the car, placed in the back of a police car.
Yes.
I assume until they got the name of Jackson.
No, until they detained him. They knew who it was.
They
Knew who it was. They just put me in the back of the car until he was found and detained.
Just a second. How did they know who he was?
Because
Just
she
a-
told them.
Because I told them who ran.
You told them who he was.
I mean, that's kind of what you do when the police ask, who just ran out that car?
Well, they wouldn't have actually cared if he was just a passenger in the car unless somebody said that he was running away from the car with a gun.
I mean, when there's
Just a
another
second.
bystander
Just a s-
chasing after him, I'm pretty sure.
You know, I'm listening to you. It's hysterical. Aren't you listening to what's always
Yeah,
somebody
she's
else's
telling
fault?
the truth. She
Aren't
told
you
the police.
Oh
No,
my
I don't
God.
think it's hysterical.
This
I think it's
country
a
is in
crock of
such
crap.
trouble.
I think the whole thing
We
is.
are in such...
Do you think I'm happy about this? My car's totaled.
We are in such trouble. They paid you for your car.
Excuse me?
Did your insurance company give you any money for your car?
No, I still owe on my car that I
No,
don't have.
no. That's not what I asked you. I said, did your insurance company give you any money? Don't show me a paper.
I'm showing you
I'm
the insurance
asking
papers.
you, did your... I asked you a question.
They did not fully cover my car.
I didn't
no.
ask you fully. I said, did your insurance company give you any money for the car?
They gave the bank the money because I had a loan on it.
So your insurance company gave you money for the car to pay down. I don't care if you don't have a car anymore, and I don't care if you still owe money on the car. You'll think twice about giving your daughter a car to use and having this sort of mess. But what you did was you listened to this story, and when your insurance company called you and asked you what happened,
I called
your
them.
daughter, who, when her mouth moves, you have to find it suspect. Your daughter told them it wasn't her fault. So while you had liability,
No. Back up. My insurance did not say it was not her fault, and she didn't say it was not her fault. We told them exactly what happened and waited for the police report.
just a second. You told them exactly what happened. Did you tell them that she ran a red? Because what you say
I
here
was
is
not there.
I'm asking you a question.
I wasn't
Wait
there.
until I finish. Who spoke to the insurance company, you or your daughter?
I
That would
did.
be you.
I did, and then they talked to her.
You spoke to them first. You're the insured.
Yes.
Very easy to find out. That's why we have phones. Did you tell the insurance company that the plaintiff ran a red light? That's either a yes or a no.
Those were not my words, no. I said my car was in an accident, period.
Oh.
I was not there,
Oh,
so I
my-
cannot honestly say whether it was her fault or her fault. I wasn't there.
Just a second. You know, now I know where she gets it from. It didn't skip a generation. Did you in fact, speak to your daughter, and did your daughter tell you that the plaintiff ran a red light?
She just told me there was an accident.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,900. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
Out.
It is what it is, and then just have to deal with it.
I'm happy with the verdict.
I definitely had my attention somewhere else at the time.
Well, she bought the car herself, and I'm happy that she's going to get compensated for the car that got destroyed.
Just wasn't thinking, I guess, and I took off at the accident.
Like the second after the crash, just when I opened the door to get out, I saw someone run away, and I was like, oh, this is not good.
I'm glad she's going to be able to get her car fixed.
It was scary, spinning around, but everyone was okay, so.
I think that case could be a great lesson to parents, because I know that parents love their children. They want to give them cars and vehicles and see them thrive and succeed. But I think that until your child shows you not just love, but shows you concrete evidence that they can handle an adult responsibility, such as driving a car, having possession of a car, I think parents should really think twice before they do things for their children out of love that they may not be ready for mentally, emotionally, you know. My interesting takeaway from that case was not so much that the mother believed her daughter, and her daughter clearly it was a story. I don't know his last name. I don't know his girlfriend's last name. The gun was in the back seat. He took off from the front seat. It was a whole lot of nonsense. But the daughter was just a carbon copy of her mother. Yeah.
That's, you know, very often I have cases where parents want to believe their children. That's what you want to do. You want to say they did the right thing. This mother didn't care because that was her MO. As my grandmother used to say, yeah, apple don't fall far from the tree.
It's true. You have to set a good example if you want your children to succeed.
Makeup artist Danielle Jones is suing Erica Fields for payment of services and negative reports to regulatory agencies.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge. We have case number 1025, Jones versus Fields.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Fields, I'm going to start with you in this case. You were planning a wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date was the wedding?
Sunday, May 30th.
Did it take place?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you happy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Both look very happy.
2 months tomorrow.
2 months. Well, keep counting them that way with a smile.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had pretty good wedding day?
Amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. When you were planning the wedding, according to what I read in the complaint and your answer, you were looking for someone to do the makeup for your wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did a search and you found someone who came recommended, and that was the plaintiff.
Yes.
And on what date did you make an appointment to see her?
Well, actually, before that, Your Honor, I had a phone consultation with her on Friday, April 23rd.
Okay. And you made an appointment to see her?
The first appointment was Sunday, 2 days later, the 25th of April.
Okay. And you went to her place of business? Was it a studio or her home?
A studio.
In the phone conversation that you had with her on the 23rd, did you get a quote for what her services would be in total?
Yes, ma'am. So the verbal quote was was for myself on site and up to 4 bridesmaids. I only needed 3.
And how much was that?
$675. And I do have a copy of that quote.
I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Ma'am.
And after you left the studio, where did you go?
To have engagement photos done.
How long did that take?
The engagement photos? Forever. Yes, about 5 or 6 hours we were being photographed at multiple locations.
Okay, so it would be fair to say, Ms. Fields, you had your makeup done on a Sunday, which is not a regular work day,
Yeah.
and you had your makeup done on that Sunday in order to take your engagement photos. There's no equivocation there.
Okay.
When one takes engagement photos, I've been through enough weddings of my children and grandchildren to know that when you take engagement photos, you get your makeup done.
I wasn't planning to. I don't wear makeup typically.
Well, whether you plan to typically, it is too serendipitous that out of 365 days a year,
Yes, ma'am.
that the one day that you had your test makeup, you also had a very long photo shoot for your engagement party at multiple locations.
Yes.
I can't get that through my head that was serendipitous and unplanned by you.
Yes, ma'am, I did. I apologize.
Right. And now I'd like to see from you, Ms. Jones, a copy of the contract.
So here is the proposal and the contract.
And can you give me some idea, Ms. Jones, of how long the makeup application took?
It usually only takes like 45 minutes, but it was during conversation, so it was a little bit long. It was like an hour and maybe 15 minutes.
Do you remember what time Miss Fields got there?
No, I don't remember exactly what time. Her
Do you
appointment
remember
was,
what time you got there?
We were supposed to be there, if I'm not mistaken, at noon. And I got there, I texted her and told her I was a few minutes late. She said it was fine. I got there, she was waiting for me.
Were you wearing the clothes you were going to wear at the engagement photos?
No, ma'am.
Then you had to go home to get and change in order to get the engagement photos?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
No, she had the clothes on. She left my studio, went straight to the site.
What
was she wearing?
My engagement
So here is the photo that she
I'd
had
like
on.
to
It was, yeah.
I'd like to see it.
And she also made it her profile picture.
Okay, just a second. Miss Fields,
Yes, ma'am.
this is your husband.
Yes.
Do you remember what color shirt you were wearing for the engagement photos?
Yes, ma'am. It was. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. It was red.
It was red.
Yes, ma'am.
And your wife was wearing polka dot dress with big red rose?
Yes, ma'am.
So those were the engagement photo. That's what you were wearing. Well, you were wearing that to the studio.
No, ma'am. I left church. I came to her in a black one-piece unit, similar to what she's wearing. And that's the picture I sent her from the engagement photos.
Okay, but
That's
this
not
is
what I
not
was wearing.
This is not what she was wearing. She
No.
said when she came to your
That
studio.
is what she was
No, I have a picture.
Okay, can I see your photo,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. Unfortunately, it's in my phone because I didn't know it would be privy. But this is when I left her studio. That was in her parking lot.
Okay, great. Let me just take a quick look.
No rose.
Oh my goodness, those are some lashes.
Yeah.
Gotta get some of those.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm reading this initial retainer, and Sarah's viewing the contract because I'm going to look at it in a second. It says that when you left, you were supposed to give her a retainer of $300 if you signed the contract.
Yes.
Did you give it to her?
It was verbally agreed, and I have.
No, that's
Oh,
not what I
sorry.
asked.
No, I did not.
Did you give her any money?
Yes.
How much money did you give her?
$30 cash for a tip.
As a tip?
Yes.
So other than the tip, you didn't give her any money?
No, ma'am.
But you did sign the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the contract provide that at the time of signing of the contract, you were supposed to give her the deposit?
No, ma'am.
It just says May 21st was the entire amount was due.
There's no deposit date.
That's correct.
Okay, well, it's a little confusing. It says that the deposit must be paid in advance. Well, advance can be a day in advance or 2 days in advance, but there is, according to the contract, a $300 deposit that's due in advance.
Yes, ma'am.
That's non-refundable.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay her the $300?
No, ma'am.
Now tell me why not.
We had a verbal agreement and later confirmed by her in writing that May 7th was when the deposit would be due.
Okay. Did you ask her, because you confirmed and you signed this contract?
Yes, ma'am.
This is my question. She does your makeup.
Yes.
She shows you the contract.
Yes.
You say that's fine because we've already agreed upon the price.
Yes, ma'am.
She needs a deposit to hold the date.
Yes.
I want you to understand how that usually works.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're going to hold the date, you say, I'm going to sign the contract and give you a deposit. Same day, that's what happens. When you took a wedding venue, that's what usually happens when you take a wedding venue.
Yes, ma'am.
You go, you sign the contract. On the day you sign the contract, you give them the deposit.
Yes.
I assume that's what you did.
The wedding venue was paid in full the day we visited.
Okay, but it was paid well before.
Yes.
But usually you give someone a deposit,
Yes.
and they hold the date because this is a service business, it's a service venue, it's a service makeup artist. So the 7th of May, the delay in giving her a deposit for sure had to be because you asked for it.
She never gave me a date for the deposit to
Just
do, so I asked if I could just pay it on the 7th.
Well, because you seem like an intelligent woman.
Yes, ma'am.
The contract says that the deposit must be paid in advance.
Yes.
By the way, you should change the contract by saying the deposit must be paid at the time of signing the contract.
After this, I have. Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you understand that there was...
A little shaky, a little
it was a
recording.
little shaky.
Yes.
Because certainly she wasn't doing your makeup, even yours, for a tip.
I agree.
So at minimum, you know that you owe her the deposit. At minimum.
Yes.
So ultimately, you breached the contract. And you breached the contract by canceling her service.
She canceled.
Well, I read your answer. You tell me in your words what you want me to believe happened.
So when we spoke over the phone and in studio, we did verbally agree that I would pay the deposit May 7th. She didn't have a definite date that she wanted it paid. But
No. You understand what I mean.
Okay.
Miss Fields, you're supposed to pay the deposit the day you sign the contract.
She didn't issue me an invoice till May 1st.
It's not an invoice. Uncross your arms. Don't get angry. So far, it looks like you're ahead of the game, right?
Yeah.
You should have paid the deposit at the time you signed the contract. You knew that it said $300 deposit. The $375 was paid on the day of the wedding. You knew that. And you knew that, sir, because you came with her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any money with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you had money with you, why didn't you give her a deposit? When you signed the contract, then all you had to do was do $375 on the date of the wedding. Finished. You used the makeup. You went and did your engagement pictures using her service and didn't pay her anything. So at minimum, you owed her for her service.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is 1 hour, and that charge was minimally $300 because she was going to do you and up to 4 bridesmaids for another $375. I mean, if you think about it, because that's what the package included. Okay, so now why don't you tell me the story that you're going to tell me about how she breached the contract?
So May 3rd, I was at work and I received a phone call from Danielle. Out of the blue, uninitiated by myself, and she told me that she had other business opportunities for the same day as my wedding that were willing to pay before our agreed upon deposit due date, and that she wanted me to pay her in advance of our agreement. And I told her that I didn't have it. To be honest, I got paid that Friday. And
He said he had money.
I didn't ask him for it. He wasn't my husband
Just a
yet.
second. Now you can sit down. He said he had money.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
Makeup artist Danielle Jones claims Erica Fields refused to pay for services. Erica is countersuing Danielle for making false accusations.
So she wanted her money before.
Yes, on the 3rd.
And you said to her?
I will pay you on Friday based on our agreement, the 7th. And she decided to cancel because...
No, she decided. What did she say to you?
She said that she needed me to pay her what I was going to do. And I said, I'm at work and I can't really have this conversation right now. I said, if you feel the need to take the other business because they can pay early, go ahead and take the other business. She canceled the contract and sent me
Did not cancel the contract. What did she say?
She did say that she was going to bill me for the trial service for $80. And I received that invoice.
Okay. Now, why did you call her on the 3rd?
Because it had gotten to that point, and I did get a phone call from one of my facial clients that wanted to book that Sunday. So either I was going to put them on the Saturday or I was going to put them on the Sunday, but I wanted to make sure that she was paying me my money on that Friday.
Okay. Because that's what you would agree to accept the deposit on Friday.
Yeah, I did. I did agree to that. Because she said she had just paid the venue all this money. So I did. And we had just came out of COVID. So, I mean, I have a soft heart.
Okay. So you had agreed on the 7th. You called her on the 3rd. And you said, I want to make sure you're going to do this booking because I have another opportunity.
I couldn't even get the sentence out before she went AWOL. I couldn't even finish the sentence. So she went...
When you say she went AWOL, that's a conclusion. I want you to tell me what she said.
How dare you call me on the 3rd? This is 27 days before my wedding asking me for money, is what she said.
And what did you say?
I couldn't say nothing because she kept going, and I just became quiet because you're hollering to the top of your lungs, and I'm like, hold up, I didn't call you for all this. So I just became quiet. I let her vent. She went and vented for about 10 minutes about other vendors and other things that were going on that had nothing to do with me. And
she was a stressed bridezilla.
Exactly.
Is what you are describing.
Exactly. And I just let her vent, because sometimes you just need to get it out. So I let her vent, didn't say nothing. And at that point, I was sitting here in my mind, I'm like, this lady probably is not going to pay me my money. And in the conversation, she said, just cancel my contract. Just cancel it. I'll find somebody else. Just cancel it. I said, if that's what you want, I will surely do that. Yes. I said, okay, well, I will still be billing you for the services that I did do, which is the $80. I did say that. And she said, okay, fine, and hung up in my face.
Okay. Did you bill her for the $80?
I did.
Did she pay you?
Nope. She looked at all the invoices.
Okay, just a second. Now, Ms. Fields, we're going to come back to you.
Yes, ma'am. I was at work.
Just a second. I don't give a rat's behind where you were and how stressed you were. I actually believe her.
I didn't go off on her.
Just a second. I actually believe her.
Okay.
Yeah, you know why I believe her?
Yes, ma'am.
It all sounds very reasonable. I mean, I'm visualizing this. You signed a contract, you didn't pay. He had the money, and he was with you in his red shirt and jacket, but he didn't pay the deposit. You agreed, which is perfectly fine, that you would pay her on the 7th.
Yes, ma'am.
So you saw her on April 25th, and you said, I will pay you on May 7th.
Yes, ma'am.
Or before. I mean, you
Yes.
certainly could pay her before. You didn't. She gets a call from another one of her clients that says, I'd like to book you on the same day as the wedding, which was May 30th. And whatever the conversation was, she said to you, okay, we're probably not a good fit. She was prepared to cancel the contract which you had signed.
Yes.
She said, just pay me my $80 for the makeup, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Yes, ma'am.
$80. You said fine and hung up. You didn't send her the $80.
No.
You did, in fact, report her to the Better Business Bureau.
And others.
Why?
Because she continued to call me at work.
To ask for her $80.
It goes deeper than that, Your Honor.
Well, how much deeper? This is a lady you never met.
Exactly.
This is a lady you never met. So how could it go deeper? It's not as if you shared a boyfriend, you shared an ex somebody.
We share an acquaintance that I didn't know that we shared.
What difference does that make?
The acquaintance has been kind of sort of after me, and I have now taken matters up with that acquaintance, and this is the person whose makeup she did on the 30th.
Okay, so she told the story that you had a service, you didn't pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she sent you an invoice, and what you should have done was pay the invoice.
Okay.
Okay? And you got the invoice, there's no question about that, and
Yes,
you
ma'am, I
ignored
did.
it. Okay. And what I care about is why you didn't pay the $80. Why should she work for you for nothing? You take the benefit of her expertise and use it to take all of your engagement photos,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
was pre-planned, and then not use her as per the contract. I don't understand why you think you don't owe her at least what you agreed to, which was the $80.
I never agreed to the $80. That's not true.
Well, did you think she was going to do your makeup for free?
I did not, Your Honor. And just
I
agree with you.
If she hadn't agreed to the $80, you would have been stuck with the contract.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Which is a lot more.
I understand now.
Do you?
I do now. I mean, when you explain it, yes, ma'am, I do. I apologize, I do.
Okay. Because her lawsuit now is much more than just the $80.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she says that you maliciously filed reports to the regulatory institutions that regulate her business.
Yes.
Now I would like to see, please, the report that she filed and what happened.
Okay.
Because there are two parts.
One for the
to this story.
BBB. That's this one. It's her response at the bottom and mine at the top. And it's still open because we're here. And then the second one is with TDLR, which is Texas Department of License and Registration, which is where I host my esthetician license under.
Can I see those?
But she opened an investigation with that.
Thank you. Well, I'm reading your complaint.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is a little disingenuous because what you say here is she canceled the contract and she sent me a bill for an $80 trial run.
Yes.
She chose to dishonor her signed contract and cancel, which I don't think happened at all. I think that she agreed to cancel the contract. Otherwise, you would be responsible for the whole contract. You would be responsible. There's no question. You have a signed deal.
I didn't ask her to cancel, Your Honor.
No. I know what the conversation was. I actually do know, like I could hear it, like there was stress. And if you had said to her, I'm absolutely going to pay you on the 7th, that's 3 more days.
I did.
4 more days. No way.
She asked me to pay her that day. She said she needed me to pay her that day because the other person was willing to pay that day. And I told her I couldn't until the 7th. And she said, then I'm going to have to cancel your contract because I'm asking you to pay her.
Is that what happened?
Absolutely not. It's a facial client. I could have easily moved them to a Saturday. You're a wedding. That's an all-day service.
Yeah.
Your
Didn't
Honor,
happen that way.
The makeup
Miss
she
Fields,
did was
it didn't
for
happen
a
that way.
bridal shower for the girl we know together.
Yeah.
It was not for a facial.
This was an unnecessary overkill.
Makeup artist Danielle Jones is accusing Erica Fields of refusing to pay for services and reporting her to regulatory agencies.
This was an unnecessary, I'm an unhappy lady, and I'm going to take my aggressions out on somebody who's trying to make a living. This was unnecessary. What kind of work do you do?
I'm an accountant and a business analyst, and she continued to call me, which is the same date that I filed that, because she kept calling me.
She wanted her $80. Well, at first she wanted her
writing.
$80. She sent you a bill for $80. You didn't pay the bill for $80. Instead, you called the Better Business Bureau. I don't understand what you were thinking.
I was upset.
Doesn't sound like you're losing, right?
Oh, no.
I was upset, honestly.
I don't care if you were upset or not. You should have sent her the $80. She worked on you for nothing. She made you look gorgeous for your engagement pictures, which you loved, for nothing. So at least send her the $80 when she sent a bill. If you would answered her bill immediately by sending the $80, she wouldn't have kept calling you.
I understand.
You just decided to ignore her.
Well, she got really unprofessional.
No. Not when she sent you the bill for $80. If you had immediately sent her the $80, she would not have called you again and again for her money.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you expect her to contact you for the money?
In writing. I asked her to contact me in writing.
Why should she contact you in writing? And then she's going to charge?
Because of things that she's saying that I verbally said are not true. So that's why I asked for it in writing.
What difference did it make? For $80, it would have been over. Aren't you understanding that? You should learn that in your married life with him. Don't sweat the small stuff. For $80, which was a fair amount of money to cancel a deal, because after all, once you sign that contract, Ms. Fields, you are obligated to pay her $675.
Okay.
Whether you use her or don't use her, that's your obligation. She says, you know what, I don't want to deal with this person. Just pay me for the day that you came in that I spent with you, which is a reasonable amount of money, $80 to do your makeup for an hour. She took a lot of time. It wasn't just that she was going to do your makeup one and done. She was trying to impress you that she could do a beautiful job so you would retain her for the whole wedding. I mean, it's very, very easy. So this first thing that I'm reading was overkill. Now I'm looking at the next one. This complaint intake monitoring system, CIMS?
That's what they left at my door when they finished their investigation.
Just a second. Well, they finished the investigation. It was received on May 18th. And May 18th was 2 weeks before your wedding. So 2 weeks before your wedding, you must have been more stressed than you were.
She continued to call and text me.
Why didn't you just send her the money? It became a matter of principle with you.
It did, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you had nothing else to do. You couldn't win against anybody else. Why did you even, in the midst of planning your first wedding, how old are you?
41.
41. In the middle of planning your first wedding, you're trying to put this woman out of business whose makeup you loved.
Well,
whose makeup you loved. It's not that she did a terrible job.
She got involved at work. I got in trouble at work for things that she did.
It doesn't matter to me. The problem, as Shakespeare said, lies with you. You look to get out of paying for a service. And I don't think you look to get out of paying for the service because of the money.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was because you were really stressed with everything else.
Agreed.
And you took it out on her. And I think that that's unreasonable. I do. I think that that's very unreasonable. And minimally, since you both agreed to modify the contract to $80, that's minimally what the plaintiff would get.
Yes.
She's suing for a lot more than that, and she's suing for reporting her to the Better Business Bureau, which is going to give her a negative rating, to the place that licenses her, which is now on file, all because you were in a snit over the fact that you were stressed over planning a wedding. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like if you left your spoon out without rinsing it off in your house, and instead of saying, listen, I'm not your maid, clean up after yourself, which sounds familiar to me, has been said it a couple of times myself. She packs your bags and says goodbye. That would be an overkill, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This was overkill. Plaintiff is suing in the amount of $5,000, which I think is a bit of an overkill myself. Are you still working?
Currently, yes.
Okay, great. So she owes you $80 for the makeup, and she owes you $2,000 for making trouble for you that she had no right to do.
Okay.
And that was malicious. That's the judgment of the court. $2,080. Judgment for the plaintiff. You count the claims dismissed. We're done. Thank you. Court adjourned.
I'm elated, and I'm thankful that the judge saw between all the lies.
She was just unprofessional and wanted money earlier than agreed upon.
That she was trying to get me something for nothing.
I absolutely do now that the judge has explained that, and the way she explained it made sense, and I wish I had just given her the $80 and no tip.
She could have just paid it and we would have been done.
I'm glad it's over.
So usually when two people want to modify a contract, it usually has to be done in the same form as the original contract was. So in this case, it was in writing. So usually any modification would also need to be in writing.
That's true.
So why did you let them off the hook?
Well, it seemed to me that the plaintiff was being very reasonable. And she said, all right, maybe this is not going to work. Just pay me for the hour that we spent together. And that would be by quantum merit. Pay for just the work that was done and not for anything in the future, which seemed totally reasonable. And I actually believe that the defendant said, okay, and hung up. The woman sent her a bill right away. She didn't pay it and had no intention of paying it. The woman agreed to say, we're done. Just pay me the $80 that I usually charge somebody for a day's work. I thought that that was unconscionable. I still think it's unconscionable. So that's why we massaged the rule. Sometimes you get to do that.
For justice.
That's absolutely right.
Anne-Marie Rogers is suing her ex-boyfriend, Ian Davis, for the cost of a car and emotional distress.
Court come to order.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1067, Rogers versus Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okie dokie now. Miss Rogers, you and Mr. Davis were a couple.
Yes.
And I assume during the course of your relationship, there was a time that you lived together.
There was, yes.
Want to give me the dates of that?
We started dating in June of 2020, and it was a month or two after that we moved in together.
So let's say August of 2020. And you lived together until when?
May of 2021.
During the course of living together, an automobile was purchased.
Correct.
When you started to live together in June of 2020, did you have an automobile?
I did not.
Did you move into his apartment?
I did, yes.
In June of 2020, did you have an automobile, sir?
Yes, I did.
What kind?
BMW.
How old?
It was an older model, 1999.
So
it was
22 years old.
It was a little out of shape.
And there came a point after the plaintiff moved in that, according to what I've read, you started to use the car for delivering for DoorDash.
Correct.
And you were using his 22-year-old car.
Yes.
That was not in great shape.
Correct.
So another car was purchased. And the car that was purchased was what?
It was a 2009 Toyota Camry.
And I gather that that was the only car that was for the use of the household.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
There was another car.
He still used his car.
The old BMW.
It was broken down.
But you got the car because it was continually giving you difficulty.
He didn't find it safe for me to drive his car anymore.
Well, that's what you'd like me to say, because what happened was you broke up. He bought this car. I assume that all the money that was paid for the car, which was how much?
That was $2,200.
Was paid for by the defendant.
Yes.
And because he, for whatever reason, either because of insurance or because of whatever, or you would like me to think that he gave you the car, both names were put on the car.
They were.
And when you broke up, first you took the car from him, and there was an argument about the car. And then he found where you would park the car, and he took the car back.
Yes.
Twice.
Where is the car now?
I do not know.
I've since sold the car.
Okay. Sold the car to a private party?
Correct.
For how much? Just curious.
$2,500. But when I sold the car, it was only in my name, not in both bars.
Okay. You're suing him for $2,625, money for selling a car without permission and for emotional distress.
Correct, Your Honor.
Well, somebody is going to own this car, and you're not married to each other, never were.
Correct.
And so there's no marital property, joint property. So if he hadn't sold the car, let us make believe he hadn't sold the car, you would come here and say, well, he gave me the car, and he made a gift to me of the car.
He did, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
told my daughter that.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I don't care what he told your daughter, and I'm not going to ask her to lie. Whatever it is, you're not married. He paid for the car. It was like he bought a washing machine and put it in the house. It's not your washing machine. It's his washing machine. I have to make a judgment based upon when two people are living together. You know, if you brought a sofa into the house and wanted to take it out, and he said, well, she made a gift to the household of the sofa, I would say he paid for the sofa. He gets to take the sofa. It's not difficult. So if the car was still here, I would say that the car was his. Now, the second part of your issue...
He also forged my name, Your Honor, off of the title.
That's a very bad thing to do. He's going to tell me...
Proof.
Just a second. That's a very bad thing to do. And I think that if you want to pursue that, you should file criminal charges against him.
Didn't
Just a second. I think, Miss Rogers, if you want to do that, because the car is no longer in existence, and if you think that that's a case that you want to be part of, I think that you should report it to the police. They either will accept it or will not accept it. I'm not dealing with it. I'm just saying, based upon the fact that he paid for the car in a short-term relationship, and you broke up, and he took the car and sold it, I'm not dealing with that. That's a criminal action. You want police to follow up with that? As my grandmother would say, gay goes unto hate. Go in good health. I haven't used that one before. Now, we have nonsense here on your part. We have money owed for loans.
Yes, ma'am.
Proof of loans, household expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she promised to pay for household expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't.
She did not.
Okay. Did that happen during the course of her living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And she promised to pay?
Yes, ma'am.
And you share the same bed all during this time?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not interested.
Okay.
Now, I'm interested if you can demonstrate to me a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
A loan.
Yes, she has a loan for a lawyer for her divorce.
Hold on. Tell me when you gave her money for a lawyer for her divorce.
Around March 30th, around the same time I bought the car.
Did you need a lawyer for your divorce?
No.
I have proof of that in her own handwriting, what she needed money for.
Can I see it?
Yes, ma'am. 1 second. It's highlighted there, sir, Your Honor. She had...
Shh!
Anne Marie Rogers claims her ex-boyfriend, Ian Davis, is responsible for the cost of a car he wrongfully sold. Ian is countersuing for unpaid loans.
What is this from?
This is a daily list of chores to do the next day in her own handwriting, which states...
Chores for her?
For both of us. Mine are on the top, hers are on the bottom.
Yours are on the top. So she writes this out, what she has to do and what you have to do.
Correct.
Kevin, just for giggles, would you show this to her, please, and just have her identify whether this is her handwriting?
I don't see how she did...
Shh! I just want to know if that's your handwriting.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, give that back to him. He has a pen. I want him to circle anywhere where it says loan.
It does not say loan anywhere.
Nowhere.
No, ma'am.
Next.
She didn't have a job.
Next.
How is she going to pay those monies without a job?
I don't care whether she
I was the
put
only
on
one
a
that had
Santa
income.
costume. It doesn't say loan. You say you have
over
proof.
$1,500 worth of statements here.
Listen to me very
of
carefully.
money given to her.
Listen to me, sir.
I paid for her storage, her lawyer, her pre-trial diversion for her other case.
Just show me evidence of a loan. I don't care what you paid for.
I have evidence of Cash App with her name on it. To her.
I don't care. Don't you understand? I want you to listen.
Who gets a receipt from their girlfriend for a loan?
Smart people do.
Well, yeah, from now
Dumb
on.
people don't.
From
Dumb
now
people end up there where you give her money and there is no contract between you that says this is a loan and I will pay you.
There was plenty.
Just a second. You keep talking and you're not listening.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm telling you, I want to see evidence of a loan, not that you gave her money.
I have evidence where she states, I will pay you back. I will pay you back.
Just a second. If you have evidence of a specific amount where she says, I will pay you back, I would love to see that. That is evidence of a loan.
She promised to play.
Just up. Don't speak. Just hand. Kevin.
That's it.
I'll be able to pay you back soon. I am pretty positive I'm going to start a job on Monday.
Which
That's
is
January 27th, I assume, of this year.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, not much, but it's something. Do you remember writing this to him?
Yes, he actually picked up some medicine for me and brought it over to my mother's where I was staying. And he brought us cigarettes and put $40 in my cigarette pack for me.
And that was in January. I'll be able to pay you back soon. I'm pretty positive. I'm going to start a job on Monday.
Moved in August.
Was he
She moved in
talking
August.
there, Your Honor? What he's talking about there is $30 that I
moved in
had
in
borrowed
August.
from him
January's way after August.
one night when I was dashing, and it was for $30.
No, I have over $1,500.
I'd like to see the rest of your evidence, sir, of a loan. This isn't doing it for me.
I have no other, I have one more page with a loan on it, which covers.
I'd like to see it.
It's just a withdrawal for her storage fees. When she moved in, I had
Just
to
a
pay all
minute.
her storage fees.
Who wrote the word loan here?
I just
This
highlighted
doesn't
it.
say,
That's just the date that I pulled it out of the ATM.
Mr. Davis, it's over. You have no claim against her. You sold the car. The car didn't belong to her. The money that you gave her during the course of your relationship, unless it was memorialized into a loan, or she actually says, I owe you $1,500, I owe you $3,000, I owe you $12.
She says
I owe
several
you.
times that she's going to get a job and pay me back. Going to
Just
get a
a
job, pay
second.
me back. Going to get a job, pay me back. She never got a job and paid me back. Every time she tried to get a job, it fell through. Then she started door dashing and said she's going to pay me back. Every time she went door dashing, she either went out
Then he
drinking or
stole
spent the
the
money.
car, and I
Just
couldn't
a sec-
dash.
just
She
a
never
second.
brought any, she
Just
might
a-
have brought cigarettes once, put gas in the car, maybe $20 a total. She's never done anything to contribute.
Right. And during all of that time, you were living together as a couple. Am I
Yeah,
just
we
a
were
sec?
trying-
Am I correct that you were living together as a couple?
That means I should pay everything?
I don't answer questions. I ask questions.
Yes, ma'am, we were living together as a couple. We're trying to build a life.
You were
together.
living
We're trying
together
to
and
build
building a life together. So when she needed money, you gave her money. If it was a loan, she was supposed to pay it back. If she didn't pay it back and you continued to give her money for cigarettes, for medicine, for cash for a lawyer, for just cash, and you kept
All
with
promised
no,
to
I'm
pay back.
speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
You soon lost your expectation of being paid back while you were both enjoying the luxury of living together. You have no case, sir. You have no case, madam. Say goodbye to each other. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I think it was I like her decision as far as the car went.
I guess it's fair. She's the judge.
Not paying anything for 10 months while living with somebody is a little greedy, and trying to sue me for a car afterwards is very greedy.
He wasn't. I have the same Cash App transfers in my phone.
She was not the person she made out to be.
That's just the way he is.
When she didn't come home because she was too drunk with my car at another guy's house.
Oh, my best friend's house, yes.
I just never want to see her again.
It's time for a fresh start.
One thing that's so important for people in relationships, especially in my age group, to understand is if you want something to be a loan, and that's your intention when you give it, you need to have the proper legal documentation to prove that, because it's easy after the fact when people are bitter and angry and no longer sleeping in the same bed together. It's easy to call a gift a loan after the fact. So if that's your intention from the start, it's important to have that legal document in writing, signed, to show that it was a loan that you expect to be paid back. And I know that it might not be the sexiest thing in a relationship to sit down with your partner and write out a contract between
That's
the
true.
two of you, but
People in your age group are much more sophisticated. They know about prenuptial agreements, and they're getting married later and accumulating property of their own. And I think that they know things that in my generation and the next one, we really didn't think of, because we got married when we were 20 years old and had nothing. But now, in situations like you saw, it's a very good learning experience. You're absolutely correct. That's a great line. It may not be sexy, but it's smart.
and it's important.
Case 1061, Scott versus Hernandez. Please step forward.
Monisha Scott is suing her former landlord, Estelina Hernandez, for a security deposit after she was forced to move out.
Okay, we're not going to make this case more difficult than it is. You rented a room or two rooms from a house that the defendant was renting.
Yes.
You rented it in what month and year?
February 4th of this year.
Who moved in to the two rooms?
Myself and my daughter's father and my daughter.
When did you move out?
July 23rd.
What was your rent?
$1,000.
There's some indication that your daughter's father left at some point.
He did.
When?
I don't remember, to be honest. I have it in my phone.
Did anybody else move in?
Later on after.
Well, how much after?
Like 3-4 months after.
You weren't living there that long. You were only living there for 5 months. So altogether now we've got 6 months. So let's try to figure it out.
But claims her former landlord, Estelina Hernandez, wrongfully kept her security deposit.
There's some indication that your daughter's father left at some point.
He did.
When?
I don't remember, to be honest. I have it in my phone.
Did anybody else move in?
Later on, after.
How much after?
Like 3-4 months after.
You weren't living there that long. You were only living there for 5 months. So altogether now we've got 6 months. So let's try to figure it out. You moved in on February 4th with your daughter and your daughter's father. Month that he left.
I could check.
Check.
Okay.
Do you know what month he moved out?
Yeah, I want to say the end of March, beginning of April. Wasn't very long after moving in.
How much after that did someone else move in?
I want to say three weeks to a month later.
Yeah, she's right.
Okay, so the end of March he moved out. A month later, you moved in another guy. Was that a new boyfriend?
He was a friend. He wasn't my boyfriend.
Is he your boyfriend now?
No, I'm not with him.
Were you?
Like, we're not friends. Cut it off.
But you moved him in?
He would stand there, like, when I was off of work, like, he'll come and visit, and then I'll drop him back off at home before I go to work. So, he'll spend the night sometimes.
That's what I want to know. Did he spend the night there?
He wasn't staying there. He wasn't living there.
He
wasn't even on the lease.
I don't care if he was on the lease.
No, he wasn't staying there, Your Honor.
Okay. How many rooms did you have?
2.
You have a daughter. How old is your daughter?
4.
Does she have her own room?
No.
Where does she sleep?
In the main room, which the room that I rented out, and then my baby daddy had the other room, and it was a storage room.
Where did you sleep? Where did you sleep when you were there?
It was the main room.
With your daughter? Mm-hmm. Even when you were living there with her father?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You all stayed in the same room?
Same room.
Okay, so the 3 of you stayed in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
How many beds are there in that room?
Just one literally bed in that room. One bed in that room.
So you all sleep in the same bed?
Yeah.
Okay, and when this friend came to stay overnight, where did he stay?
In the room.
In the main room?
Yeah.
All in the same bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he slept on the floor. Me and my daughter slept in the bed.
If that was the situation, was your friend paying any rent when he slept on the floor?
He was.
To whom?
To Estelina.
To her?
Mm-hmm.
So he was paying rent in a place that
because he was helping me, because I needed the help. And she was looking for somebody.
Just a second.
Sorry.
My question is, how much was the total rent on the rooms that you, your daughter, and your daughter's father were renting in February when you first moved in? What was the total rent?
$1,000.
And when the old boyfriend left and the new boyfriend moved in, because you said he was paying rent, how much was he paying?
She added $250 and $100 deposit.
So then you were paying $1,250.
Basically, she was paying more for a different person, but same situation.
Just a second. When he moved in, she raised the rent to $1,250. Is that correct?
No.
Did you ever get $1,250?
No, I charged her $1,000 for rent, and then I made him pay a $100 deposit for moving in because he moved in the last of the month. And what I told her was I actually started making her pay $150 for utility, so that was different. I never got $1,250.
All right. You moved out in July as well?
Correct.
Because?
Because the rent was too high. I was falling behind on utility bills. I had stayed there originally just to keep my daughter in the school that she was in.
So you also had a child living with you?
Correct.
When she moved in, because I'm going to keep this simple, when she moved in addition to the rent, did she give you a deposit?
Yes, she did.
How much?
$600.
Where is it?
I put in the lease that it was non-refundable.
I don't care what you put in the lease. A deposit is to ensure that there is no damage. Did you pay security deposit to your landlord?
Yes, I did.
How much?
$3,200.
How long had you been living there?
4 years.
Did you get any part of your security deposit back?
No, I did not.
Did you break the lease?
No.
Well, where did you get the $3,200 from?
Because it wasn't just me living there prior. I had lived there with my ex-girlfriend and her family.
How much did you put in as a deposit, not your ex-girlfriend?
$1,000 out of the 32. It was shared among people.
You have proof that you put in $1,000?
No.
And if you didn't break the lease, do you have anything from your landlord indicating that they withheld your $1,000?
No, I do not. I was not the main person on the lease, so she refused to give me my copy.
That's not a problem. You have to return her $600 deposit to her. unless you're claiming any damage. Are you claiming any damage? No. She gets us
She paid for it.
Just a second. She gets us $600 back. We're done here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I'm happy. I knew I was gonna win.
As far as I knew, it was kind of greed, but I mean, I guess I understand now.
No excuse. She just didn't give it back. I guess she felt like it wasn't, I didn't deserve it back.
That her deposit, I mean, I guess it should have been non-refundable.
I just don't want to do the roommate thing anymore because I have to, their situation becomes my situation and I just don't like to
It's a no-go.
control somebody else's home and the way, you know, like the way they're living and stuff. Like, just let them live the way they want to live.
No roommates from now on.
Some cases are hard, some cases are easy. This was an easy one. It really shouldn't have taken up court time. I don't know. I think that the pandemic probably brought out the worst in a lot of people and placed them in some very difficult situations. Probably very unfortunate. Feel most unfortunate, usually for children. In this case, both of these women had young children. I don't think that it was a healthy environment. I have a feeling that it wasn't.
John Robinson is suing his jet ski renter, Stephen Rigby, for breach of contract, property damage, and missing equipment.
Court come to order.
Be seated, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Kevin.
Case number 1152, Robinson versus Rigby.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robinson, tell me about this business that you're running.
Yeah, so I started renting wave runners because I just really enjoyed wave runners. I opened the business in around April 15th.
Of what year?
Of this year, 2021.
What did you do before April of 2021?
I have a normal day job. I work in the financial industry. I still do that, but this was a side business for me where I was going to make extra income and also enjoy myself on the beach and take out the wave runners myself.
How many did you buy?
I started off with just 2 wave runners.
Did you add to the number of wave runners that you had?
As soon as I sold the business, because after this incident, I just sold the business. I couldn't handle it.
So you no longer have the business?
No longer have the business.
So you had the business from April of 2021 until?
July 2021.
Until July?
Yeah.
And when you say you sold the business, what did you sell of the business, or did you just sell the jet skis?
I sold the jet skis and then...
Oh, stop there. Yeah. And when you bought them in April 2021, how much did you pay for them?
I paid, let me just pull up the receipt. I want to get this exactly right.
Absolutely.
Including taxes and everything, it came out to $26,856. That's for the wave runners. And then I bought a trailer with it. That was $2,100. And then other costs like life jackets, gas cans, came out to a total of $29,500.
But you paid $26,000 for the jet skis.
Yeah.
Let's go back to when you sold the business. You sold the business a few months later.
Yeah.
And when you sold the business, you sold the jet skis.
Yes.
Who did you sell them to?
I sold them to my witness, Nathan.
Oh, Nathan, who missed the appointment.
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting. And did you create a bill of sale for Nathan?
Yes, I did seller financing. He didn't have the money at the time, so I gave him seller financing.
You have a contract of sale with him?
I do, yes.
I'd like to see it. Would you show me the contract of sale?
Here it is. Thank you.
Did you have a loan on the jet skis?
I did have a loan on the jet skis.
For how much?
$18,100.
Okay, so you were able to pay off the loan.
Yes.
And you sold the jet skis and equipment to him for $30,000.
No, Your Honor, in addition to that contract, I gave him another $17,000.
You gave him a what?
I gave him $17,800 to buy more wave runners because...
Oh, well, I don't care what you gave him to buy more wave runners. These were the 2 wave runners that we're talking about in this case.
Yes.
That you sold to him for $30,500.
So that was the total loan amount, but then if you go further into it, then you'll see I gave him extra money.
No, listen to me. You didn't sell them for a discount. You sold them for $30,500. And you agreed to loan him $30,500, and the loan is secured by collateral.
Yes.
I assume if you were smart enough to draw up this loan agreement, you believed that the collateral was sufficient to ensure that the loan was repaid.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of course. So, in effect, you were whole if he pays off this loan. Now, it is your claim that you rented these jet skis to Mr. Rigby for a family vacation.
Yes.
And you were taking grandchildren?
Yes, my son has a houseboat down at Lake Powell, and we've been doing this for years. We've been, for about 5 or 6 years, we've been renting houseboats for our grandkids to go down there.
You mean jet skis?
I mean jet skis, wave runners.
Okay. According to you, he rented them and they were returned scratched.
Scratched, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have photographs of the scratches?
I do, yes, Your Honor.
Did you ever arrive at your destination, Mr. Rigby?
Yes, I did.
With the jet skis?
Yes, we did.
And one of them worked?
Well, when you load them onto the houseboat, you can go wakeless. So they both worked just idling. So we loaded them onto the houseboat.
So did you use them, is my question?
No.
Neither one?
We used the one a little bit.
Okay. Do you know how it got scratched?
We rented them twice from him. We rented them once in May, and then this was the July trip. He charged my son for scratches on the wave runners. So my son told me, when you go to pick them up, take a video of the wave runners. I've got pictures of me on my phone, and I've got pictures here to show all the scratches on the wave runners.
Oh, I'd love to see those.
Yes. This is before we even picked them up. And I got a video if you'd like to see that, Your Honor.
I absolutely would. So these were photographs that you took before?
Right in the yard before we even picked them up.
Now I'd like to see your video, sir. Okay. I just want to know, do you park your jet skis someplace, Mr. Robinson, where other jet skis are parked?
Your Honor, I was out of town.
That's an either yes or a no.
Claims his jet ski renter, Stephen Rigby, is responsible for missing equipment and damaging his jet skis. Stephen is countersuing for the return of his rental deposit.
Okay. I just want to know, do you park your jet skis someplace, Mr. Robinson, where other jet skis are parked?
Your Honor, I was out of town.
That's an either yes or a no. I'm looking here, there are a lot of other jet skis.
In this case, yes, Your Honor.
All right, so in this case, the answer is yes. You park where there are a lot of other jet skis.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is July 23rd at 8:57 a.m., which is when you pick them up. Okay, and, you know, they look certainly drivable, but they certainly look used and they're scratched up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Kevin, would you return this? So they were scratched up before Mr. Rigby took them. Now, you have a video that Nathan just handed you.
Yeah.
He wants to show me a video of what he allegedly took on the same date. Is that what you want to show me, Nathan? Or you didn't take a video of the same day?
It's not the same day.
Then I'm not interested in it. Then I couldn't be less interested in it. So, Mr. Robinson, let me try to explain this to you, sir. You bought these in April. Did you buy them new or used?
Brand new, Your Honor.
And you rented them between April and the end of July?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you used them?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many times did you rent them?
What do you think? Maybe 25 times?
Maybe
20.
So let's say 20, 25 times. And how many times did you personally use them?
I only went out once, Your Honor.
And what about Nathan? Did he ever go out in them?
Once.
Oh, just a second. Once. So you rented them 25 times, you went out once, he went out once. Well, somebody scratched them. Because what I'm telling you is his photographs that I've just looked at and his video of July 23rd do not show me brand new, 3 months old, subject to normal wear and tear by one person using them. There are scratches on them, they're scuffed, you know. I don't use them often and haven't been on one in a couple of years, but I have used jet skis, and some are carefully taken care of, and some, when they're rented, get banged around a little bit. Yours were banged around, and you sold them for what you paid for them. So I don't know what you're complaining about.
So here's some more pictures that was right when we picked them up. and you can see more scratches than I didn't.
I can't differentiate, sir, between what scratches were there and what scratches were not, nor do I intend to use this device to figure that out, because you have a bill for me, I assume, from a mechanic.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who fixed up all the scratches. And I assume, without looking at it, that the mechanic doesn't list where each scratch is located. I assume that there's a general bill for cleaning up the jet skis. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's a general bill, Your Honor.
Okay, then there's no way for me to differentiate between what the scratches and nicks and dents that were in the jet skis in the video that I just saw from July 23rd and your mechanic's bill. So what I'm telling you is you had no damage. You sold the equipment to Nathan for what you paid for it. You rented them, according to you, 25 times between April, May, June, and July 23rd. So you don't have any damages because I assume you made money. I assume you rented them for money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you have no damages, and there's no way for me to tell where the scratches are.
With the sale to Nathan, I gave him an additional $17,000 to get to that $30,000 that I sold it to him for. So that's where we would actually sold it to him for much less than $30,000.
That's not. I may have missed it. So you gave him $17,500. Instead of making the note half, you gave him $17,000.
Yes,
I don't understand that.
So in order to run the business for Nathan, he needed more than just one set. And so he had to go out and buy new sets. And so I gave him an additional $17,000 when I sold it.
Yeah, well, that is not my problem, sir. That is your convoluted business arrangement with him. But your loan agreement, the collateral for the $30,000 of the 2 jet skis.
Yes, Your Honor. Any wave runners he bought after that would also be under collateral. If you look at the collateral, it's just...
Oh, that's okay, but at this time, he hadn't bought any. At this time, at the time of this loan agreement, which was for $30,000, you had the collateral for this loan agreement was the 2, are they Kawasaki? Is that what they are?
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Jet skis. Absolutely no way for me to determine what was damaged and what was not. I saw it was clear that these were scratched up when he picked them up. Now, according to you, missing revenue, damaged jet skis, forget that. Loss of revenue, forget that. They were scratched already. Missing equipment. Okay. What equipment was missing?
Life jackets and a gas can, and then there's a rod that carries the gas can. They took that rod as well.
Well, I don't know who took it.
Yeah.
They would have no use for that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know what I mean, Mr. Robinson? They would have no use for it. So life jackets. And how many life jackets did you provide?
6.
Mr. Rigby, were there life jackets?
No, no life jackets, Your Honor.
You had your own life jackets?
We had our own life jackets.
Was your wife with you?
Not when I picked them up, no.
Okay.
But she's my fiancée, Your Honor.
Nice, good for you. Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor.
You told me earlier, I believe, Whitney, I believe Mr. Robinson said earlier that he closed down his business right after this incident. Is that correct? Had it in April, sold it in July.
He said, after I bought them, I sold the business. I couldn't handle it in April of 2021.
That's when he bought it?
Yeah, until July 2021.
And his rental was the end of July because it was the 23rd, and you had 2 jet skis at that time.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you entered into this agreement on the 27th of July with Nathan, in which you secured as collateral the life jackets.
I bought.
So what you just so what? Just a second. So what you want me to believe, and what I'll believe if you show me a bill, that between the 24th and the 27th, you bought new life jackets.
Yes, Your Honor. I did.
John Robinson is accusing defendant Stephen Rigby of renting 2 of his jet skis and damaging them. Stephen claims they were already damaged, and 1 jet ski didn't even work.
So what you want me to believe, and what I'll believe if you show me a bill, that between the 24th and the 27th, you bought new life jackets.
Yes, Your Honor. In addition, I did want to say he actually ended up taking the wave runners without anyone being there. Like you said, he missed the appointment. He told him he's going to be there at 10 o'clock, but he showed up really early and took the wave runners without signing an agreement, without calling me. And then at that point, that's why we had to report it to the police, because he took the wave runners without signing the rental agreement or paying full for them. So in this text here.
No text. I want to see a bill from a sporting goods store for life jackets between the 23rd or the 24th of July and the 27th of July.
So Nathan bought them, and then I Venmoed him. Do you have that on your phone? So I can show that I Venmoed it.
It was an eBay purchase.
I don't care about eBay. I want to see a receipt for life jackets between those two dates, prior to July 27th and after July 24th.
Here's a Venmo of me Venmoing him for those life jackets.
Nathan's going to have to get me where he bought them.
Right here. Let's see.
And the date he bought them. You bought one Exo Blue Universal Adult Size Life Jackets. Is that right?
Yes. It was a pack of 4 or 5.
For $59.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I don't remember. Okay. You didn't take any life jackets?
No life jackets, Your
Honor. Okie dokie. You have a counterclaim. How much of a deposit did you give to the plaintiff?
$900.
On what date did you take the wave runners?
On the 23rd.
I see that you dropped them off someplace.
We dropped them off back at the marina at Antelope. He told us we could no longer use the wave runners, so we had to haul them all the way back to the marina, and that was on the 25th.
And tell me what happened with the pickup, the exchange. Nathan over here, who I'm not interested in their business arrangements. It all sounds a little sketchy to me. He was out of town. Nathan was supposed to make the exchange with you, give you the paperwork. You were supposed to pay the balance on the 23rd, correct?
Correct.
And what time were you supposed to meet him?
I got a text message from John Joseph about a week before. I've been up to his house. I went up and inspected the wave runners. I seen what they looked like, and they were brand new. I was really impressed. A week before we were to pick them up, before July 4th, it was on July 17th, he sends me a text saying, I'm out of town. You're going to have to pick them up in Murray. He didn't give me a name. He gave me an address. I've got the text that he sent me.
I'm going to look at it.
You want to look at it?
Yeah. Thank you. So you had been to see them, and they were brand new when you saw them?
When I went, that was back in April. They were brand new, yes.
And then we move forward to the end of July.
Right. So that's the text he sent me to pick them up. No, you can see no name, no nothing. I tried calling him. Well, first I said thanks. The next day I called him because I wanted to talk to him. What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to talk to? Well, what he does on his phone, it goes to voicemail, and then it says my voicemail's full. You can't leave any messages on his phone. So what I did is I called rental. I don't remember who I talked to. I says, hey, I'm picking up.
You can't tell me what they said to you.
No, I told them I was picking up some wave runners that was John Joseph Robinson's. Are you going to have them there? And he said...
But you can't tell me what he said.
Oh, okay.
You went there.
I went.
Did you ever make an appointment with Nathan over here?
Never. I didn't know who to talk to. When I talked to him down there...
Stand up, Nathan. Tell me when you had, Nathan, a conversation with the defendant. Listen to me. Then you're going to show me on your phone the day that you had the conversation with him. Okay? On what date? Take out your phone.
Your Honor.
Just a second. Take out your phone. Now tell me on what date you had a conversation with Mr. Rigby.
Your Honor, it wasn't on my phone that the conversation happened.
It was on whose phone?
When he called rental the day before to ask how to pick them up, I happened to be there at the time, and the guy there...
You can't tell me what he said.
Gave me the phone. He gave me the phone, and I personally talked to him, and I told him, meet me at 11.
Just a second. So you told him to meet you at 11?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Let me tell you what your partner over here swore to in his complaint. Let me tell you what he swore to. Since I was out of town, I left the jet skis, gear, and trailer at a third party's house, which was not so. You left it at a launching yard. Nathan, my witness, was to meet Stephen, that would be you, at 10 a.m. That you want to see your signature? You got to get your story straight. Do you understand? You got to get your story straight. The first thing that you have to do when you come with a witness is get your story straight. You owe him his $900 back. Is that what you paid him?
That's what I paid him.
That's what you're getting back. Your case is dismissed. Judgment on the counterclaim for $900. Thank you very much. Good done.
Court is adjourned.
I thought he was a good guy, but obviously not.
I think Judge Judy is spot on.
Called the police because he never signed the rental agreement.
Am I supposed to sign something? Am I supposed to pay you guys? He says no.
They abandoned him in a parking lot.
I love Judge Judy.
I learned a good lesson from that case. The defendant did a great job taking a video with a timestamp before he even took the jet skis off of the plaintiff's property or wherever he had left them. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody before you lend someone, even a friend, anything of yours. You know, take a photo or two just so you have a time-stamped, verified document that you could show in court, just like the defendant did here.
So we did our job today. You learned something.
We did.
Perfect.
Melissa McDermott is suing property owner Terry Gallimore for breach of a rental contract.
All right, we'll come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. We have case number 1020, McDermott versus Gilmore.
Thank you. This case is a relatively simple one. Ms. McDermott, you want your money back that you paid for the use of an Airbnb that the defendant owns. It's a home. You're going to tell me why you want your money back. You didn't use it and spend the night. I gather that what you were doing was feting your daughter for her 17th birthday. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you find Mr. Gilmore's house to rent?
Through the website Verbo. It's similar to an Airbnb website where they list their properties and you can filter through them to figure out what you want.
Did you get a contract from the defendant?
I did.
May I see it, please?
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Is this the only contract that you signed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So this is what happened. You were planning just an evening stay. How many friends were you having?
4, I want to say.
And you arrived after the girls arrived.
That is correct.
And that was from Saturday to Sunday or Friday to Saturday?
It was going to be Friday through Sunday was the booking. And earlier in the booking process, when I requested to book his property, you have to kind of describe what you want to do there. And
I don't care about anything other than what is in this contract. This contract now encompasses everything because it's written, it has every element that exists between the two of you and cannot be changed in any way other than in writing and signed by both parties, because that's what it is when you have a contract. Now, I assume, Mr. Gilmore, that you're going to tell me that this lady, who is your neighbor,
Yes.
is going to tell me what happened on that Friday, which is the 30th. Would you step up, please? Tell me your name.
Rochelle Weber.
Miss Weber, you're a next-door neighbor to Mr. Gilmore.
Yes.
Do you recall October the 30th of last year?
Yes.
Tell me about what time in the day you noticed that there were people entering Mr. Gilmore's house. He wasn't at home.
Around 5:30.
Tell me what you observed.
It looked like a bunch of young girls that were going into the front door of his house.
Other than the fact that they were 5 young girls, there wasn't anything untoward about their conduct.
No. They were just
5 young girls.
giggling and doing what girls do and, on their phones and that type of thing. Yeah.
So what did you do?
So about the same time that
I don't want you to editorialize at all. I just want you to tell me what you did.
Well, I looked out my window, and I usually leave my windows open but I shut my window because there was going to be people that were staying there, and I didn't want to have to deal with the noise and stuff like that. So
whatever. So far, they weren't making any noise. They were 5 young girls going into the house at 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
So what did you do?
So like I said, I shut my window and everything. At that same time, when I saw them, Mr. Gallimore sent me a text saying that somebody entered his house without an adult. Did I see adults by chance? Did I see anybody coming into the house?
Okay. So what he did was text you first. You didn't call him.
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
So he sent me a text and said, I have people that are going to be staying in the house, and it's just young girls. There's no adult there.
Okay.
Would you please go over there, because I can't have underage kids staying in my property, you know, it's...
Whatever. Is that what he said to you?
Yes.
Don't make things up. Is that what he
No,
said? Would you
that's what he
please
said
go
to
over
me.
there? I can't have underage people staying
Yes,
on my
I don't
property.
want to have underage people staying in my property, and see if there's an adult there. That's what he wanted to know, if there was an adult that had actually, you know,
Well,
shown up. So
go ahead.
Okay.
So you went over there.
So I went over there, and I knocked on the door, and I knocked again, and I knew people had entered into the house, so I didn't know if they were ignoring me or whatever. And then the door was unlocked, and I opened up the door, and I said, hello. And then all these girls came down from upstairs, because it's a 2-story house. They all came down from upstairs.
And
that's when I said, is your mom here, or the person who's supposed to be on the contract staying here? And one of the young girls said, no, she's not. And I said, well, then you can't be in the house right now, because you're supposed to be with the person who had signed the contract and everything to be in the house with them and stuff.
Is that what you told him?
Yes.
Is that what he told you to do?
Yes.
Is that what you told her to do?
Yes.
Okay. And they left.
Well, they had some things that they had put into the garage and everything, so they gathered up their things and everything.
So the girls drove. Did they drive in?
They drove,
in
yes.
2 cars?
There was just one car I saw behind the house.
Okay.
And they put their stuff in the car and stuff like that. And I just said, oh, you guys might want to move your car, because their car was kind of parked over a line that you're not supposed to park over, or you can get a parking ticket or get towed in the area, because our area is pretty picky about how you park and everything. And so I was just mentioning to that, and, you know, because I didn't think they were going to leave, because they could have hung out until their person came and stuff like that. And
Hung out where?
They could have just sat in their car. They could have hung out on the patio in front of the house or whatever. I didn't tell them they had to leave the property. I just said they couldn't be in the house, because that's what Mr. Gallimore said, they couldn't be in the house. And so I had just made comment about, oh, you guys might want to move your car. And at that point, one of the girls says, oh, well, we're probably going to go to Walmart anyways. So I assumed that they were leaving.
I don't care what you assumed.
Well.
And is that all that you know?
Yes.
Okay. And they left.
I didn't hang out there to watch their car drive away. I went back to my house.
They
because
left.
I did what I was asked to do, and I was done. I wasn't going to sit there and babysit them or anything. So, yeah.
You left?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Melissa McDermott claims Terry Gallimore's neighbor wrongfully removed Melissa's 17-year-old daughter and her friends from his rental property.
Mr. Gilmore, I want you to take a look at this contract. And I want you to show me, because I may be missing it, where in that contract it gives you the authority, once you receive the money and they've leased the property, I may have missed it, for anybody to eject them from the property.
It's not in the contract.
If it's not in the contract, unless you have another contract.
Well, there's something that she has to sign before she can even get the contract stating that.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at it.
Okay.
Before you got the contract, was there another document that you had to sign?
No, there's on the website you request the property, and it gives details of the property, and there's nothing that I don't recall signing anything for that.
Well, he says he has something that's signed from you.
Well, it's not signed. They have to.
Just no.
They have to check off on this before they can even get a lease agreement saying that they agree to these terms. If they don't read this and agree to the terms, they don't get a contract.
I don't know. Just a second. I don't know that.
Okay.
That may be true, but I don't know that. So if you want to lease to somebody, and I assume you've been doing this for a while, and you have a contract, and you specifically want to incorporate something specifically in that contract that requires somebody over the age of 25, over the age of 40, over the age of 26 to be there, it has to be in your contract. And the only way to modify your contract is something in writing. What you're trying to tell me is, in order for her to even look at your property, she has to agree to terms. I'm assuming this. And one of the terms is that there has to be an adult there who's over the age of 25 or 26. Yeah. And then she presses a button that says agreed.
Yes.
And then you send her a lease, right?
Yep.
Now, is everything that is contained in that overall application for a lease contained in your lease?
No.
Does it contain an amount?
No.
So you put in the amount. Does it contain a date?
Yes.
So that application contains a date?
The date that they agreed to it.
Right. And that's incorporated in your lease?
Yes.
Does it contain who will be present?
No.
No. You have to adopt it and put it in your lease. Does it contain terms that you will not create noise, and any noise after 10 p.m. you will be ejected and forfeit your deposit? Does it contain that?
No.
And you put that in your lease?
Yes.
So there are some things that you put in your lease and some things that you didn't put in your lease?
Correct.
But in the only signed agreement that you have, Mr. Gallimore, you did not indicate that someone had to be over 25 or over 26 or over 24 in order to ask for an application. I'm just telling you that for future reference. Now, nothing that you heard suggested any untoward behavior when you went to the house.
No.
You didn't hear screaming, loud music, the girls were quiet, they were upstairs. You came in, you actually opened the door to a premises that you had no right to go into because it had been a leased premises. I mean, whether the door was open, you didn't mean the door was open, you meant the door was unlocked.
Yes.
Okay. But you had to open the door in order to go in.
Yeah.
And when you opened the door, you had to say hello.
Yes.
You didn't have to scream hello because there was loud music blaring, nothing. The girls were upstairs.
Yes.
Putting their things away. And when you said you can't be in the house, were those your words?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me your first name.
Samantha.
Samantha. Do you remember Miss Weber?
I do.
Do you remember what happened when she came into the house?
I do.
Tell me what happened.
We all unpacked our stuff from our car and put it in the garage, and then we went upstairs and were just checking out the rooms and deciding where we wanted to go eat for dinner. And none of us heard the door open. All we just heard was someone say hello, like she said. And I turned around the corner and she started like walking up the stairs, and I was like, hello, like, how can I help you? And she was like, you guys can't be here.
Try telling me what you're going to tell me without using the word like.
Okay. She said, you guys can't be here. She said we were disrupting her dinner, that we were disrespectful for being there.
No, I was not having dinner.
No, just a second. Don't interrupt her.
Okay.
I asked her if I would be able to call my mom and sort it out. She said there was no point. There was no one over the age of 25 there. There was no reason we could not be there, that he had a very strict policy about that. She like followed us around the house, asked us where the keys were, told us that we like needed to leave, that I couldn't park my car there, that I needed to be moved. And then I said, okay, we're leaving. And she was like, I'll wait. And like watched us as we grabbed all of our stuff and put it back in my car, and before I could say another word, she just closed the garage on us. And then when I realized that I had left some stuff in there, like a birthday sash that I had left, I went around and tried to go back because the door was unlocked, and at that point it was locked and we could not get back in.
And where did you go, Samantha?
To a parking lot, like really about probably 100, 200 feet away from the Airbnb, just the nearest parking lot we could find to figure out
what to do.
What to do, yeah.
Okay, and this was about 5:30?
I would say around that point, yeah.
And that's what you indicated, about 5:30?
Yes. I did not tell them to leave,
though. I didn't ask you anything else.
Okay.
I just said it was about 5:30.
Yes.
And that was about the same time that you received a phone call from Mr. Gallimore.
It was a text message.
Or a text message,
Yes.
about 5:30.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how far, Ms. McDermott, is where you are to where the house was?
I'd say probably 50 miles, 45 to 50.
So at that hour, at that time, it probably took you an hour and 15 minutes to get there?
But when I got the call from her, frantic, when they were told
Yes,
to leave.
it was a quarter to 6.
I, had to take care of a few things, and then I got in the car and was probably there in about an hour and 15 minutes.
And she called you at work?
I had just gotten home from work.
When you say you had just gotten home from work, so from your house to where it was?
That's correct.
It was about an hour and a half.
And work and my house are same area.
Okay. Just for my own information, what did you go home for?
I still had to get some stuff together, pack, and then I was going to possibly have my fiance drive me down there and drop me off, so we only had the one car. But at the time I got her call, he couldn't leave then, so I just took off down there.
At the time you got the call, he couldn't leave where?
Originally, he was going to drive me down there. We were considering him driving me down there and dropping me off. But when I got the call from her...
Oh, so that you were going to wait for him to drop you off.
Correct.
Okay. And he was delayed at work.
Correct.
What time did your fiancé get home from work?
I don't know exactly what time, but he was arriving about the time that I just decided to leave and head down once I found out they were in the parking lot.
No. Then he would have driven you because you would have been very upset. So he wasn't home when you left.
What I recall is he was just getting home and I was leaving.
That doesn't sound right to me.
Because I do, now that I recall, I was on the phone with Terry after I got her call when my fiance walked in the front door.
Any reason why he didn't accompany you?
I just went. I was ready to go at that point.
Not so sure. In any event, you had called the defendant to let the defendant know that the girls were coming that day.
That is correct. I left him a text message and I said that if traffic went well, should arrive like in about an hour. He said he would unlock the door. And then once they got there, my specific text message is the girls arrived. I'm still at work and we'll be heading down after. I have a copy of that.
I'd like to see it.
There's multiple here. And then that's when I did not hear from him again. He stopped responding, and about 10 minutes later, I got the call from Samantha saying the neighbor had came in.
Samantha, but did there come a time that you went back to sit on the patio of the house?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And these were texts back and forth?
Yes. She texts and says, we will be arriving in about an hour if traffic goes well.
No.
McDermott is accusing Terry Gallimore of ruining her daughter's 17th birthday party by having Melissa's daughter removed from his property.
You wrote to her and said this was after your neighbor had already told him to get out of the house and locked the house. The girls went to a parking lot, but they were frightened to be there. It was getting late. And you texted her and you said, my neighbor let me know that the girls are sitting on the private patio, and that's okay. Please let me know when you arrive at the property. Thanks. Now, you're responding to him, and you're not there yet.
Correct.
So I would like to know how you're texting him when you're driving in the car.
I just did.
You texted him. You want me to know. I didn't like the fact that they were forced to sit in a parking lot alone in unfamiliar territory, so I told them to go and sit there. And then you wrote, I'm 10 minutes out. The girls are now on their cars. I assume you meant in their cars because they were freezing. And then you write back, you are more than welcome to stay at the house. The neighbor does not have keys to the house.
That was hours later after
Just a
we
second.
had...
I'm sorry, Terry. I will be having to find a hotel. I don't want to have to worry about having to lock the door at all times to prevent a stranger from entering. The keys are on the counter and the door is locked. Again, if you do not understand why we have chosen not to stay and do not want a refund of my money, I won't have a choice but to seek reimbursement in court. Again, I'm sorry about your mother and wish her the best. What happened with your mother?
She was in the hospital.
Okay. So you must have had a conversation intervening here because you were annoyed at him, but yet you must have said something about your mother and it was...
We had several conversations on the phone, and I told her, I go, you're more than welcome to stay at the house. When you get there, I'll get you in the house, but you need to be there. I can't let 5 girls stay at the house by themselves.
By the way, when you were speaking to her on the phone...
She was at home.
She had gotten home already?
Yes.
With the girls?
No, she was at her house. The girls were still in Newport.
Oh, is that right?
That was the first conversation we had right after I got the frantic call from my daughter saying she was told to leave by the neighbor. I got on the phone with Terry and said, what just happened? Why didn't you just call me?
Just a second. What time was it that you called?
We had several, any time between 6:30 and almost 8.
I can tell you the exact time.
Yeah, give me the exact time that you were still talking to him from your house.
I got the call from Samantha at 5:48. I tried calling him at 5:55, 5:59. At 6:01 is when I actually got on the phone with him.
Okay, when were you still at home when your fiance?
6:01 p.m.
When your fiance was home?
Correct. That's when
that was 6 o'clock.
Yes,
that was 6 o'clock. And what time did you arrive at the house?
I told him at 7.
No. What time did you arrive?
I was 10 minutes out at 7:38, so 7:48.
And you decided not to stay?
We decided not to stay at his property, correct?
Absolutely right. And you want your deposit back, which was how much?
It wasn't the deposit. He never cashed that check. It was the actual cost of the rental, which was $11.80.
So she already got back, by the way. Verbo gave her money back in January, so I'm not even sure why we're here.
Did you get your money back?
So the bank...
That's an either yes or a no. Did you get your money back?
It was reversed through the bank dispute, but they said that Terry did not reimburse it. So once if we were to get him to reimburse it, we were going to give that back to Verbo.
Did you get your money back?
Yes.
So then what are you doing here?
Well, we had filed this before we found that out.
Yeah. Oh, just a second.
No. And when I called Verbo to find out why the money was reversed, it said it because we had originally disputed it with the bank, and they did a long investigation.
Don't tell me what they said. The refund on booking, which I would have given you, actually. I actually think that you stepped way over the line in going into the property and telling the girls to leave. That's his responsibility, not yours.
I knew he was dealing with his mom, so I said I would help him out, so.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It was nervy and bossy, and you see 5 17-year-old girls. They're very quiet-spoken. They weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't disruptive. They weren't making noise. And at 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night, you don't tell them to go outside. You can't be here and lock the door. That's ridiculous. Sit down. $11.80 is what you got back. You're suing this man for $4,352.
That is correct.
For what?
We also included the cost of the hotel. We had to find...
That's your problem. He told you that you could stay there. You decided not to stay there. I don't know why you're here.
We didn't
I don't
feel
know why
safe
you're
staying.
wasting my time. So, lesson is, anything that you want the person that rents this house to do, to have, to spend, to occupy, anything that you consider an integral part of the lease has to be in that document.
Yeah, that's my bad. I thought it was good because they had to check it off before they even got that far.
What I'm telling you is anything that's important to you, the number of people, how old they are, anything has to be in there. In any event, you got your money back. You want the cost of your hotel. According to you, you were going to eat in and you were forced to go out for meals. You're charging him for meals, Miss McDermott. Miss McDermott, you're smarter than that. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Hello, xin chào cả nhà. Hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn cả nhà tô bức tranh cô gái một chiếc váy manh manh. Chiếc váy này mình sẽ tô màu hồng. mình đã tô xong bức tranh của cô gái. Cả nhà thấy cô gái này mình tô có đẹp không? Một cô gái rất ngọt ngào, dễ thương. Mình sẽ ra những video hướng dẫn mọi người tô những bức tranh, nên mọi người nhớ bấm đăng ký kênh của mình nhé. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại.